The deal to develop the Simandou mine marks the restoration of a relationship which has had a bumpy ride over the years. However, there are good reasons why both sides want that relationship to flourish. Andrew Robertson reports.
With a holding of 9%, Chinalco is Rio Tinto's biggest shareholder. A year ago, an attempt by Chinalco to pour another $20 billion into Rio, which would have more than doubled its shareholding, came to an acrimonious end when, under pressure from other investors, a cash-strapped Rio opted for a capital raising instead.
Just because you've had one setback or knockback doesn't mean that you're going to compromise your future on some sort of vendetta.
Situated in the West African country of Guinea, it's a similar size to the Pilbara operation in Western Australia, with higher grade ore and the potential to generate large output and big returns for many years. Rio Tinto owns 95% of Simandou, with the World Bank owning the remainder. Chinalco will spend $1.5 billion for 45% of the mine, reducing Rio to 50%. But there are risks with investing in a third world, politically unstable country.
It's about 700 kilometres from the coast. So to establish the commercial operation, you need to spend a lot of capital on building a railway and the port to handle the iron ore.
Highlighting the risks, the Guinea government already is contesting some of the ownership of the Simandou mine, which is why Peter Chilton thinks Rio Tinto would be very glad to have a partner like Chinalco on board.
It's very important that companies, if they're spending, say, $4 billion on the project in somewhere like Africa, they want to reduce the risk.
Peter Chilton also believes continuing to work with Chinalco may pay dividends for Rio Tinto in other areas.
It's a China connection. There may be all sorts of other benefits in terms of customer relationships, in terms of potential joint ventures or operations in China itself.
But the partnership with Chinalco also has the potential to undermine the success of the Simandou project, as well as the global market for iron ore. Morningstar's Mark Taylor says that's because Chinese-owned government enterprises often have very different agendas to privately owned companies from the West, whose sole aim is to make money.
For China, that may not be the main objective. The main objective may just be to get as much product to market as possible to lower the overall average cost of importing that product.
Rio Tinto's joint venture partner in Western Australia's Pilbara, BHP Billiton, would be less than impressed with Chinalco's involvement in Simandou because lower iron ore prices will hit BHP's profits. And Mark Taylor also thinks the Guinea project will make Rio Tinto top-heavy in iron ore and therefore more risky for investors.
One of BHP's great strengths is its earnings are very stable because it has a great deal of diversity in product lines. Yeah. Rio's earnings are going to be a lot more cyclical and exposed to iron ore.
According to Morningstar calculations, when the Simandou mine is up and running, around 65% of Rio Tinto's earnings will come from iron ore.